All right. Well, welcome back, everyone, to Buying Local. I'm your host, Mike Nelson from Five Towers Media. Joined today by an old friend. And I don't mean old like we're old, Lisa. I mean
No,
just we've known each
no,
other for a long time.
a long time.
Lisa Boucher, welcome to Buying Local. Very excited to have you.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for the invite today. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, of course. So Lisa, I'm trying to think. I think we met originally through, was it BNI back in the 2008 to 10 range, maybe?
I think we had met briefly before that through something with the chamber and then really got to know each other through BNI.
Through BNI. Yeah. Chamber tracks. I've always been a big fan of the chamber, especially the Adirondack Regional Chamber. Unsolicited
That
shout
would be
out
the
to them.
one.
Yeah, yeah. It's always been a great chamber. I really like it and enjoy it now under Trisha and her team, but it's always been good. Met a lot of great people through it.
Yeah, I'm a huge supporter of the chamber. I think they're doing amazing stuff and the growth in it has been great the last few years. So excited to be a part
Yeah,
of that.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I unfortunately have not been able to get to any of the events the last few months, but I know my man Matthew Noth has been getting around to those meetings, and I think you met
He
Matthew.
has. That's how I met him. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very
He gave me
nice.
a
Yeah.
great cold call when he started working for you. He just called me up and we had a nice chat and then we've had
Yeah.
lunch and he's going to do
How do
big
you do?
things.
How do you do on the cold call?
He was great. He was
Yeah.
great. I really liked the way he did it. He was like, look, I'm just calling to connect, let you know that we're here. And he did a great job. So you're doing well with him. I told him he couldn't have a better mentor in the business and in sales.
Well, I'm trying, but he's a good human all around. So I like Matt a lot, and we're lucky to have him. So
Good.
glad to hear he's not. For the record, when I was cold calling, I don't think that people said nice things about me after my cold calls. So I'm glad that Matt is doing a lot better than I did. That's the goal, right? Do better than your teacher did.
Absolutely. Right. Teach them to be better than we were. Absolutely.
Absolutely. That's great. So, Lisa, I know, God, what were you doing when we first met? I don't, was it the
I was
bank?
probably working at the accounting firm or the bank when we first met, one of the two.
Yeah, so long
Hmm.
ago. My old man brain does not want to recall, but irrelevant, right? What are you doing now, Lisa? Tell us. I was excited to hear about what you've got going on now.
Yeah. So back in May, I launched my own human resources consulting firm. I have branded it the HR Ninja. I have been
Nice.
in human resources for over 25 years and in many ways with small business, with nonprofit, supporting my husband's own small business, and also have been in the martial arts world for over 30 years and now own my own martial arts school. So
You
that's
do?
why I call it the HR Ninja. I do. I do. I'm actually registered in Korea with the Mudokwan. I'm a 6th degree black belt in taekwondo and I have my own school chartered through them.
So I knew that you were a black belt. And it was funny because when Matt mentioned your name, I was like, hey, you better be careful with her, man. She'll kick your butt, dude. Like, and we were laughing about that. But I didn't realize that you had your own school too. So that's exciting.
Yeah, it's very small. I don't do a lot of advertising because I don't have any other instructors, so it's all me.
Yeah.
But I've got about 10 consistent students. I'll have one testing for black belt by the first of the year. She'll be my first process black belt through the school, and I'm excited for her.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
I know we want to talk about HR, but like, obviously I really like the martial arts world. How long does it take to get a black belt in Taekwondo?
If you are super committed, you can do it in 3 years.
3 years. And that's doing like
Yeah.
what? Like 5 classes a week?
Now, 2 to 3 classes a week, you can be there in three
Okay.
years. If you're super committed and you're willing to practice outside of the room, you can't
Right.
just be those couple of nights a week. So, and this particular student, she's highly committed. She's doing great. She's going to be amazing.
That's awesome. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
congratulations on your first graduated black belt. That's
Thank
amazing.
you. Thank you.
And I guess
It's
that's
kind
how
of
the
cool.
Oh,
Yeah,
go
it's
ahead.
kind of cool that it's a woman too, that it's a
Yeah.
woman-owned school and it's a woman that's going to be the first black belt. So
Yeah. Are do you find that most of your students are women at your school, or is it a mix?
we are heavier on the female side right now than the male, but in the beginning it was more male and then it balanced out and it just happens to be more female right now. Not
Okay.
intentional, it's just the way it's worked out.
The way it happens, yeah. Yeah, yeah. That's awesome. So I guess we know where the ninja part comes in for HR Ninja
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
So, so help me understand, and our listeners understand, as for the kind of service offerings that you do you act as like just an advisor? Or are you an HR, or like an outsourced HR department? What kind of things are you doing for your folks?
Yeah, it's a great question. It could be either or. So some of my clients call me, they have a situation, they just need a sounding board. Maybe they have an HR person, but they're not quite as experienced. And so they just need somebody to say, yes, you're on the right track, you're doing the right thing. Let's talk through what next steps are. Other clients need projects done. So, for instance, maybe they're switching payroll providers, they don't have the time and the ability to really make that happen well and flow through. And I've done that many times in my career. And so I work with old payroll provider, new payroll provider, plus client to seamlessly make a project happen. Or somebody has no HR and they can't afford a full HR person on team, or maybe they don't need a full 40 hours a week. And so fractionally, I can go in so many hours a week or a month, sit right in their office if necessary, and be their HR hat for them and their employees to bridge that space that they need.
So what does an HR person do? Obviously the hiring thing, right? Like people think AR and they think hiring, right? But I know that there's a whole lot more that goes into it. And I know probably most of us small business owners are not doing all the things that we're supposed to be doing with regards to HR. So help me understand all the things I'm not doing that I should be doing, Lisa.
Sure. I'll try not to call out anything on here on you, Mike. I don't want to get you in trouble. Uh, the reality is what you just said, though. You're so busy starting and running a small business, and you're an entrepreneur with a vision and a dream, and you're chasing it. But
Hmm.
you don't know all the little side pieces that go with that. And you know you need a lawyer, and you know you need this coach, and you know you need that, but you don't think about HR because you think you're doing it. It's just people. HR is more about hiring and firing. It's about if you're going to offer benefits, what's the best way to offer that, and what do your people really want? If you're going to have conversations with your team and truly teach them to be a team and what your culture is and how you want to run your team, it's those conversations. It's open enrollments. It's keeping you compliant. Just knowing that in New York State, there are so many small rules that even a small business of under 10 has to follow. As simple as, are you notifying people in writing when their wages are going up or down for some reason? We have a lot of small businesses in the year that are seasonal. In one season, they get paid one rate, and another season, they get paid another. Are you making sure you're in writing telling your folks what their rate's going to change and when and what that looks like? So a lot of compliance is in HR that people don't think about. We
Hmm.
help look at insurance. What do you have for insurance? Not just health insurance, dental, but actual insurance on your business. I had an insurance license at one point. I have an accounting degree. I've worked in the accounting world. I've got some operations experience. So I can come in and look at the whole and help you figure out what's missing on the HR side. So we process a lot of paperwork, we write a lot of policies, we polish your handbooks, but there's a lot of training, there's a lot of communication we can do. And so if somebody has a small business and they can't afford an HR person, but they want me a few hours a week, I can be the person your employee comes to and says, I don't understand how my paid time off works. I don't understand how paid family leave works. I don't know what I need to do to grow here. I don't understand how our annual review process works. I can be that person that has the time to really listen and have those conversations.
Hmm. What do you find, or I should say, who do you find that you work the most with right now from like a size and scale of business?
Typically 50 and under for the employee size.
Huh?
They tend to have an HR of one or an HR of none, and they have a CFO wearing six hats trying to keep it all in the air. And they're much more proactive or reactive than proactive, where I
Yeah.
can come in with fresh eyes and say, if we tweak a few things here, put a couple extra things in place, this becomes easier and more efficient.
Hmm.
I love working in the blue collar space. My husband owns his own construction business. I love those guys because that's where you can have the most open, honest conversations with a human being because they tell you how it is and they're not afraid to tell you how it is. And they lay it out for you. Mike, you've been there and you know. Those are some of my favorites, but I also like the office environment because professionals want to come to work and be seen and talked to in a certain way, and especially the generation coming in. People keep saying the young generation doesn't want to work. It's not true. They want to be treated a certain way at your organization. So, how do we bring them in to understand what work really is, but help them help us with our culture to make our culture better as they come in?
Yeah. Do you find that culture is a lot of how you're working with organizations?
Sometimes, yes. Sometimes they come to me first and it's more about we need a handbook, we need a policy, there's this new rule out, we need help navigating. But it turns into a culture conversation. So a good example is I did a handbook for a woman who has a small financial advisory firm. She now hired her second person. She said, I want to make sure that my employees know what's available to them. I want to have this handbook as a guidebook. She said, but I'm afraid when I present it, they're going to think that I'm just giving them rules and they're doing things wrong. She goes, so I don't know how to present this. He said, this is our opportunity to explain to them. I want you to have a place to go that gives you the guidelines for how we work. I want you to understand the benefits you have so you can use them to the best. And I want our culture to feel like you're getting what you need. And if you don't, you know how to come talk to me. I
Hmm.
want our culture to be that I truly support employees first, and I don't want them to have to worry about understanding what they get. And so, put it in writing. I gave her all the talking points to sit with her staff, and she's creating culture from the beginning by letting them know these policies are in place to support you, to give you the expectations and the milestones, and I want to be there to walk this journey with you.
Lisa, how do you handle organizations? And I know it's typically, excuse me, typically smaller organizations, family-owned businesses that, quote unquote, don't want to be corporate and they don't want to, seem like they're some sort of corporation and they don't want to lose that family feel, but they still need some of these things. Like, how do you address that concern, I guess?
A lot of small businesses feel that way. And it's funny, people will go, well, we're a family here. And you are and you aren't, right? You're a family to a point, especially if you employ family and you're family owned, but you still have to, at the end of the day, remember these are employees that you're paying and you have expectations for. You can marry those two things. You can give your employees everything under the sun, but you also still have to have expectations set around what they have to give in return. So when you have those honest conversations right from the beginning, from the minute they walk through the door and they start working with you, honest conversations, are people hitting their mark? Are they working the way we hope? Are they working the way we expect? How do we want them to treat our customers? How do we want them to treat each other? We can set that from the beginning and build that and still give them everything we want and create that family feel, but still know they have to meet expectations at the end of the day. People don't like open, honest conversations, but the best conversations we have ever in life are the hardest ones when we open our heart and talk about the reality of what we all need. And when you can do that for the employee, they then in return know they're safe to come have a conversation with you. They're not worried about getting fired if they need a day off for a kid problem. They're not worried about, can I really have a conversation about, I've stepped up to the plate, but I need more money. If that
Mhm.
is set up front from the very first few conversations when they come in, we are like family here, but we have expectations we have to meet, then those conversations can be had and that comfort level can be there.
It's interesting. It's, we live in such a, I don't want to say just like a policy driven world, I feel like right now, right? With business, especially when it comes to the HR component, there's so many requirements. There's the sexual harassment training that you have to do with every employee every year. I know they kicked around this whole retirement thing that you had to provide if you have more than 8 employees. Did they ever actually put that into place?
That is rolling out for 2026. If you have 10 or more employees,
10 or
you either
more?
have to enroll them in some sort of plan or you have to prove you already have a plan available to them. So yes, that is coming out. It's a great provision because there's so
Hmm.
many people that don't have retirement. Employers do not have to put money into this particular system if they enroll through the state. So it's giving people an option for retirement they don't have. What's hard is sometimes the implementation is very difficult for an employer. So they need somebody to walk them through how to make that happen. So, yeah, that
Hmm.
is one of them. When they came out with required paid sick time, that one's
Yeah.
hard to administer and understand. Luckily, a lot of the payroll companies embraced it and they're running it well to make sure it's being done, which is great. But then there's paid family leave, which most small companies don't understand how it works, and their employees don't understand how it works and that it's offered. But their employees are paying a small amount every week for this insurance program that they don't even know they have, and they don't know they can use it. So yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot out there that gets put in place. It's very difficult.
Yeah, it's kind of tough to keep track of it sometimes as far as the thing like that 401k retirement plan thing. It was like, I think they first talked about rolling it out in 2022, I think, or
It
maybe
was a while
20.
ago. Yeah,
Yeah, it was
yeah, it
years
was a
ago.
while ago.
Yeah. And then it was like, they kept waffling and changing and, one of the very smooth rollouts for these new policies. But yeah, it's a lot. And, not that running a small business isn't enough already without having to keep track of all that stuff. So now do
Yeah.
you work with organizations that kind of like track that, make sure it's happening, make sure they're, if they have to have it, that they're doing it and that kind of work or
Yeah, absolutely. If they're unsure of what they need to be following and what they need to be doing, or even if they're dealing with their payroll company, but they're confused on what it is, I am happy to come in and help get all that organized and understood, help them
Mhm.
look at their options and see what they need to do.
And you mentioned payroll companies. I know, we use ADP through Caitlin Rossitano. And that's
Mhm.
been great because it tracks, like for the sick time anyway, it tracks the sick time as we go through, which is nice. I don't know if it tracks the family
It's
time.
probably taking the deduction out for the paid family leave, but it's not explaining to them what it is.
Yeah.
There's a great New York website, and your insurance provider usually offers information on that as well. One of my favorites was Shelter Point at an organization I worked at. We used Shelter Point, and they have a wonderful website to walk employer and employee how paid family leave works, which is great, but it's not something your payroll provider is going to help you track and deal with. That's not one of their specialties, right? So that's where I can come in and help you with those leaves, figure out leave for everybody.
And what is family leave? I'm like, this is
Yeah.
wild to me. I don't even know what it is. I should probably know this.
That's a great question. There's two different types of family leave. So
Okay.
there's a federal called family. I'm going to forget what exactly it stands for. It's FMLA. I'm going to forget
Okay.
what the letters stand for just because you specifically asked me, but the federal side is FMLA. FMLA only applies to employers with 50 or more employers, and it's not a paid leave, it's an unpaid leave available for up to 12 weeks based on certain needs for health concerns or disabilities. And you work with your doctor to get approved. And it
Okay.
can be taken intermittently, all at once, whatever it's needed. But that's an unpaid for larger corporations. And that's federal. What came out through New York State, and it was pre-COVID, so I'm going to say maybe 17, 18 was paid family leave through New York State. It'll cover a few different things. It'll cover the birth or adoption of a child, taking care of a sick family member. There's something in there for leave for if your spouse goes into the military. There's one other that I'm forgetting now. But anyway, there's four things that'll cover. The one we see the most is care for a family member and or care for a newborn.
Okay.
That allows paid leave up to 12 weeks. You can take it intermittently, but it has to be in a full day, or you can take it all at once. Right now, it's paid at 67% of your paycheck. It is deducted. There's a small deduction out of your paycheck every week that's going to help pay for that insurance policy, which your employer is also paying a portion of,
Mhm.
typically through the same provider that you're buying your disability insurance for.
Okay.
So it goes side by side. And paid family leave is in place to pay you when you need to take that time off
Yeah.
from work. And the employer has to provide you work when you are back. I've seen most people take it on an intermittent basis, not all at once. And it's
Mhm.
really nice that they can do that way. So, for instance, if you're a new parent, you can take every Friday off or every Thursday and Friday off for within the first year of that baby's birth, up to 12 weeks of time, which is beautiful because you can slowly come back to work, plus do
Mhm.
some of your own child care and not just throw your child into child care. So paid family leave is a beautiful law they came out with. It can be very hard to understand when it's used, how it's used, and how to put the paperwork together, which is where the employee and the employer sometimes stumble and need help, and I can help with that stuff.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, yeah, obviously I'm stumbling. I didn't even know that it was a thing. So,
I can help you,
and,
Mike.
I know, and I'm obviously paying for it, it sounds like. So,
You are.
what other kinds of things do you see out there, Lisa, that, small businesses or even larger sized businesses are probably not doing that they should be doing?
Oh, that's great. There's so many things, Mike. I think sometimes we are assuming what our employees want and not really
Mhm.
asking them. And I've been in this scenario where, as a team leader, you're thinking, this is what my people need. I know what we need to bring in. Let's plan this training. Let's plan this benefit. Let's bring it in. And they're like, yeah, that fell flat. That wasn't what we needed. And so it's how do we get the information out of employees? Because lots of times employees are afraid to tell us what they think, even though we truly want to know. They're afraid that it's going to get them in trouble or create a problem. So I think one of the biggest things I see is just true communication out there between employees and employers. And how do we have open, honest conversations where everybody's in a safe space?
Mhm.
I've done it by just going out and looking for employees and having conversations with them and building that trust in that relationship. So when the time comes, they know they can come to me. But the big thing we have at our hands these days are surveys and putting information out to employees. Sometimes we're giving amazing things like we just talked about paid family leave. They don't understand they have it or how to use it.
Mhm.
So most of the time when we implement a policy, when we create a new benefit, when we bring in a change of some sort, it's not about what we've brought in or haven't brought in. It's how we're communicating with employees. And how do we break down that barrier and have real conversations and honest conversations and train our leaders to have those conversations? So many people are put into leadership positions and they're not giving the tools to succeed, to have these conversations, to be that bridge. I think that's really, at the end of the day, every problem or situation that's brought to me comes down to communication and how we're
Yeah.
talking about things. So if you come to me and tell me I got all these employee issues, well, why? Well, it comes down to what are the meetings you're having? What are the communication you're having? People aren't using the benefits. I don't understand why. They don't understand what the benefits are. So how do we train them better? How do we have better conversations? It just
Mhm.
really, at the end of the day, it comes down to those relationships.
As you're talking about that, it makes me think about, you know, my current state of our company. We're small business, half a dozen employees, and every one of my employees is out straight. I'm out straight as the business owner. We're all wearing multiple hats. And even though we're trying to simplify some of our product offerings to make things a little easier on us and on our clients and do a better job on everything, right? One of the challenges is, we have a weekly meeting on the calendar every week. Typically, I'm the one that cancels that meeting because there's so much happening, and pulling everybody into a meeting for an hour to 90 minutes is, I know every one of them's like, I'm so busy. I don't want to go to this meeting. And I have that same feeling, like, but it is a good place where we're able to communicate with each other and have conversations that we might not be able to have. I mean, other than just gutting it out and doing the meeting, like, do you have any kind of advice for how organizations that are small like mine can communicate on a more efficient basis without having to suck everybody's week away with meetings?
I think there's a time for a meeting. There's a time for an email. There's a time for a phone call. There's a time for whether it's Slack or Teams, constant
Mm-hmm.
conversations that can work, right? So, do I need to talk to you immediately? It's probably a phone call or a text to say, hey, can you talk? Do I just need an answer by the end of the day? Maybe I know you check Teams more than you look at email, so I send you a
Mm-hmm.
Teams message. Do I need the whole team to know, or do I need one person to know? What I will say about team meetings is if you as the leader continually cancel, you're setting the example that they're not important.
Right.
So if they feel you don't think they're important, they now don't think they're important. So they think they can easily be like, Mike, I can't do this meeting.
Yeah.
What is the purpose of your meeting? What do you really drill down and talk about? And what do you take away from the meeting? If
Mm-hmm.
your meetings are just we get together and talk about what we're doing for the week and then we walk away, it's probably not good use of all your time. That could be a
Yeah.
Slack. Hey, here's where I'm going to be. This is my schedule this week. If your meetings are about, I'm struggling with how do you support me? is this meeting our end goals? Is this meeting what we said we wanted to meet for our goals for September, for the quarter, for the year? Then those are meetings you need to be having, because that
Mhm.
creativity that comes out, that conversation is very, very important to keep your organization running further. So I think you as a team have to sit down and agree, what will our meetings be about? How will the agenda run? How long will it be? And how will we stick to our agenda and what we want to do?
Mhm.
Um, I can tell you, I'm going to give Wendy Waldron a plug. I'm sure you know Wendy.
Yeah, yeah,
With
absolutely.
with the EOS method, if you take nothing away from what Wendy teaches, that level 10 agenda is one of the best things I've ever seen implemented in a business.
Yeah.
I would recommend, if you guys are struggling, look into that for sure. But you come together as a team and agree on what your meeting's going to be and what you're
Mhm.
going to take away from it. Because if you're having a meeting to have a meeting, it's pointless. And don't have
Yeah.
the meeting before the meeting to talk about the meeting and then the meeting after the meeting to discuss the meeting. Like nobody
Yeah.
wants that at the end of the day,
Yeah.
right? And the other thing I would say is, employers never want to hear this, but when was the last time you looked at the size of your team, the responsibilities everybody had, and said, do we have enough team members?
Mhm.
And everybody will say to me, I can't afford another team member. Can you afford to lose one because you're overworked and overwhelmed and they never feel like they get enough done? What will the revenue difference be if you brought another team member to open up those other people's schedules to do more of the things you really need them to do?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the bigger challenges I think all small business owners face, right? Is
Yeah.
you hire someone, but I'm scared. It's more about fear than it is really about affordability, right? Like, especially
Yeah.
depending on what you do. I just interviewed Joe Cerrone, if you know Joe from over at Cerrone Plumbing and Heating.
Okay.
Um, I interviewed him on our Blue Collar Startup podcast, and we were talking specifically about scaling and growing your business because for people that don't know Joe or that business of where he's taken it in the last 10 years from really kind of coming in to work with his dad and then taking the reins, he's done a fabulous job of growing that business. And, I joked with him, I'm like, from the outside, Joe, it looks like it's been nice, slow, controlled growth, very smooth. And he was like, yeah, it might seem that way on the surface. But, one of the things he talked about that I really liked was when you're hiring people to try to, in the beginning, at least start to hire people that are going to be revenue generators and so that way it makes it easier, right? Like you feel better about hiring someone that's going to help you increase revenue than say hiring administrative staff that are going to, not necessarily increase revenue directly. They may do it by taking things off your plate, but he said that was helpful for him and that, focusing on hiring like service techs as an example that he could put out there at a billable rate. He was like that was nice, but at some point he still had to bite the bullet, right? And hire some administrative people. That sooner or later you just got to do it. It's
Yeah, it's
tough.
a hard balance, but I agree with what he's saying is if you can bring in the billable money first, then
Hmm.
you can feel a little more comfortable bringing in that admin person who's going to support the people out making the money, and it frees them up for more admin so they can keep going and doing the thing, right? So I totally agree. That's a great idea. But yeah, eventually you have to staff well, or you will lose those staff members, and they won't tell you. They'll just get so tired and so burnt out that they'll just walk in one day and be like, dude, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And I've already got this other idea or opportunity and I'm out. So,
Yep, that's a tough one. I think we've all been there,
yeah. Yeah.
and you lose
Yeah.
people. You lose good people that way sometimes. So it's a challenge.
Yeah.
What So outside of that side, obviously it's funny that you mentioned earlier too that like the CFO ends up having to deal with I don't know why we do that to CFOs or right? Like we always put the HR function under the CFO, which is kind of laughable, right? Because a lot of great CFOs are not at all people oriented. So like, putting them into that HR role as well is always kind of funny. Um, obviously that's kind of like why you exist though, right? Is so that people that maybe they do have a CFO, maybe they don't, maybe they're doing the CFO stuff and the HR hat. So you're really that outsourced solution. Is that fair? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I think when you look at really good entrepreneurs and business owners, when they first start, they're the ones in the trenches. They're doing everything, and they have to, because financially they have to get it off the ground. But at some point, if they can't step back and truly be the CEO and the visionary, and they're doing all the admin, how do they truly grow their dream to what they want it to be?
Mm-hmm.
Right. I go back to the old Jack Welch adage of, I surrounded myself with people smarter than me that had the expertise I didn't have.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you really need to do in business, is what are the parts and pieces you can't do? And who do you bring in to do that for you? So, for instance, when I started in business, with my background, I probably could have set up my LLC, done all my contracts, everything myself, but that's not my expertise. So I hired a lawyer and I hired an accountant to do those things for me. Same idea for a small business owner. Lots of times we lean on the CFO because they're really smart and they're really educated. And we know they're just going to make it happen, because your numbers person never lets anything fall through the cracks. They make sure things are done.
Mm-hmm.
But as I talked to somebody who's a CFO recently, she said to me, I need you to help me with this client. She's a fractional CFO for this client. She said, he's growing at the speed of light and he's just so far ahead of me. I cannot keep up with him. And HR is not my specialty. So I
Yeah.
need you to bring him the compliance side of HR so we keep him compliant and in business as he grows. And I think that's what's hard, is you know you need to spend the money on it, but it's hard to get yourself there and let go and let somebody else do it. But it's like interviewing an employee. You interview the people, and if they're the right fit and the right mindset, then they're going to help you grow in exponential ways you never would have seen coming.
Mm-hmm. That just triggered a question too, Lisa. So like thinking about the hiring process, and obviously as an outsourced HR solution, you're probably going to be involved in some fashion with the hiring process. And do
Yeah.
you do actual interviews for your clients?
Yeah. Yeah. Interviewing is actually a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
I love, yeah, well, for some of us, some people hate it.
I was gonna
I
say,
love
really?
people. Yeah. I love people and I love getting to know people. And my husband will tell you, I'm extremely curious and I will ask a lot of questions to the point where you're like, that's just enough. Just stop talking to me. Um, and he'll kid me. He'll tell people like, she can talk to a doorknob. I swear to God, I will talk to anybody.
You need to do
What
a
I like
podcast.
about I know eventually I want my own, but I just don't have the brain power for it yet, Mike. Trust me, I've already figured out what it will be called. It's going to be great.
Nice.
Uh,
Nice.
um, Interviewing is really just about getting to know people and finding out how they work. Right. And somebody taught me early on in my career, if you ask a question and you sit back and you're quiet long enough, they'll tell you everything you need to know about them.
Mhm.
Because the interviewee is very nervous and they're going to fill quiet space with information.
Yeah.
And so think about your podcast, right? Like there's moments you're like, oh, I was hoping they were going to keep talking, but they stopped. If I'm quiet for a second, will they keep talking? And
Mhm.
that's just how the people work. When they're nervous, they'll fill a silent space. And so I love getting to know people, talking to people. And for me, when you're recruiting for your business, it's not just about the position in front of you, it's what else are we going to have in the future? Because this may be a candidate I want to keep in touch with because I want to put them into something else. And so a good example of is we interviewed somebody for a position and they didn't quite fit the position, but I knew it was somebody that needed to be part of this organization. And I went to the CEO and the operations director and said, I don't know what else we need, but we need this person on our team. How do we find a space for them? And sat
Mhm.
down and put our heads together and said, we need to hire this person to do X, Y, and Z. That is her expertise. Brought her in, and she brought so much value to the organization and is still there and growing in that role.
Yep.
You have to look past what you need in the moment and or connect them to somebody else. I've connected them to other employers before and said, I know you didn't get the role here, but you should look over here. This person has a role open that I think fits for you, and helped people find jobs elsewhere. I just think it's our job in recruiting, whether we're with an employer or we're a recruiter or consultant, to help people find their fit in this world.
That's fair. And so I'm just curious, obviously when small business owners like myself, we have a really tough time letting go of control of things. And, I think over the years, I've heard so many small business owners say the words like, I'm just going to do it myself. Like, no one can do it like I do it. So, how do you bridge the gap between control freak business owner like myself I'm in recovery on that. I want you to know, Lisa. I'm trying really
Good.
hard
I'm
not
glad
to
to
be.
hear that. I'm glad to
Uh,
hear that.
but I definitely earlier in my career, say 10 years ago, I definitely was like really, it was really hard for me to let go of things like this because you're not, someone else isn't going to ask the right questions. They're not going to know who's going to be a good fit for our team. They're not going to know what I'm looking for in a candidate. How do you bridge that gap with your clients?
Listen, first of all, if I don't know you well enough, I can't bring you the right candidate. So I have to have a long conversation with you before I ever start recruiting for your business. Because I
Yeah.
do need to know, what are your expectations? What are the personality traits? What are the things you really need? We can teach skills all day long, but we can't train the personality you need and the God-given traits in that person that you need on your team, right?
Hmm.
We can teach a skill. You can teach somebody how to do a podcast, but can you teach them how to be a good interviewer? Maybe, maybe not, right? So that's the first thing, is I have to get to know you really, really well as a client and interview you first. And then maybe the first time I recruit for you, we do it side by side so you can see what I do and you're comfortable with, hey, I do think I can hand this over to her. But you also have to look at, what can you be doing with your time that better grows your business, makes you money, versus what is it costing you to be the one in the room for 8 interviews to fill one position and you're spending 24 hours on that process? Is
Oh
it
yeah.
worth it to you, right? Or is there a better use of your time for me to bring that person in and I bring you 2 final candidates that you meet with and then you pick the final candidate?
Yeah.
We don't leave you out of the process. We put you in the correct part of the process.
That's fair. Yeah. It's such, for lack of a better term, it is a time suck. Hiring is like
It's a
I'm
lot of
going through it
work.
right now. Yeah, I'm trying to hire 2 positions right now. I've got it, and it's not a short interview or hiring process. We have a 15-minute phone call. We have a first interview, a second interview. There's a test that we give most candidates depending on which role they're coming into, and then job postings, and like it's a lot of work.
Yeah. And how are you focusing on the main goals of your business when you're spending your time on that? And when are you
Right.
sleeping, Mike? Because I know you're not sleeping to make it all happen.
No, that's just it. I'm on my laptop until 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, depending on, and then back up at 5 o'clock in the morning. So it's a lot. Yeah, that's what I'm
And,
saying. Like hiring is it's a lot of work. And I think, and this is not to my benefit, it's probably to my detriment, but I tend to put off hiring for positions as long as I can because the process is just so awful. It's
it
almost as
makes it more
bad as
painful
firing
for you.
people. What's
Yeah.
that?
It makes it more painful for you
Oh
because
yeah.
you've already put it off for so long. You're behind the 8 ball and getting done what you need done. But now it's painful because you're in a rush to do it and you want to get it done as quickly as possible to fill the position. Whereas if there were steps before that and somebody was taking over, I mean, just posting and gathering resumes and sorting through resumes alone takes you how many hours
Yeah.
that somebody else could do for you and say, these are the top 10 candidates we should talk to.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of time. I mean, to your point, yeah, I definitely put it off. And then but I'm also very structured and I will not allow myself. So the week that I'm doing those first 15-minute phone calls, I will not allow myself to schedule anyone for their first interview. I have to get through all the phone calls first. And even though I need to hire that person now, I have to force myself to drag it out because otherwise I'm going to rush and make a bad decision. And but
Yeah.
there's this little devil on my shoulder that keeps going, oh, just hire that person. And I'm like, no, I gotta wait because I'm gonna hire that person, and then an even better candidate's gonna come along because I just wasn't patient enough. But it's
Well,
rough.
in the old, yeah, the rule is hire slow, fire fast.
Yes.
But you don't want to hire so slow that you're losing candidates. So if you don't have enough time to really get them through the process quickly and
Mhm.
well, you could lose really good candidates that way too. And I've seen that happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And firing is just awful. I hate firing. Do you fire people, Lisa?
Yeah. It's never fun. And
No,
how
it's
I walk into it a couple of different ways. And so I was just having this conversation on LinkedIn with somebody. First of all, most likely the person you're firing has made decisions to put themselves in this position.
Hmm.
Rarely is it truly, we're out of money, we're out of funding. It's rarely those things. And if it is, those people see that coming. Most of the time, they've made decisions that put them in this place. So you have to remember that, yes, they've made decisions that put them here. However, it is a human in front of you, right? And every one of us in our lifetime has probably been fired from something. We've all been there. We know what it
Yeah.
feels to be on the other side. You have to bring the human side of that to the table. Be willing to deal with tears, be willing to listen, be honest about why they're being let go. When you look at somebody and say, well, it's just no longer a good fit here, they know there's another reason behind it. And if it really is a good fit, be honest, say, the skills we thought you had aren't fitting what we need here. The role is changing because of this or that. We've tried to send you to training, it didn't work. You're not meeting your quotas. We feel like maybe this isn't the right industry for you, whatever it might be. Or you blatantly disregarded the rules 3 times and we've had this conversation and now you're done. And this is the reason we're letting you go.
Hmm.
It is actually more kind to be honest than to hide the reason why you're letting somebody go at the end of the day. And I think that people are so afraid of that hard conversation that they make it worse. I have literally had people hug me, cry, and say, I hate that I'm leaving, but thank you for everything you did for me while I was here. Which tells me I at least did it in a human and a compassionate enough way that they understood that I
Hmm.
tried everything. And so that's what I do. I cry after I fire people. I'll be completely honest. I practice the conversation I do. Mike, I'm a crier. People don't know that.
That's
And I
all right.
hold it well, but I'm a crier. I come by it naturally. My dad is a crier. If you've ever met my dad, you'll see him cry at some point. Um, and but I also, at the end of the day, have gratitude that I'm the person that gets to have the conversation, so I know it's done well and with compassion.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just so hard. It's obviously it's probably the worst point of someone's employment, right? When you have to terminate them and have that conversation. But also from an employer standpoint, I'm also like, I don't know if I'm going to say something that's going to get me sued. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, it's bad all around for everybody involved. And to your point, like typically, I mean, we have had to let people go in the past because we overstaffed and got on the wrong side of the, equation and had to slim down our staff because of that, which was bad business decision on our part. To get that, to get that fat with employees, so to speak, as they say. But also we've had to terminate people because like they're a bad apple and their attitude was poor. And it's like, having those conversations is just like, blech.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's never fun, right? And people laugh at me. We don't have children, but I've taught children and I have nephews and a niece. I've worked with enough children. Having employees is sometimes like having children.
Oh yeah, for sure.
If we don't set boundaries and expectations, how do we have these conversations to say you're outside our boundaries and expectations and you're here or you're not based on that decision you're making?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely all the time. I mean, I think about my employees like they're my children. And I don't mean that
Mhm.
condescendingly. They're just, I mean, also
Right.
coincidentally, most of my employees are like 20 years younger than I am. So it's like, they're all, to
It
me, they're
feels
all
like it.
young kids.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but you care about them and you nurture them and help them
Mhm.
grow just like you do kids. I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah.
similarities there, but
Yeah, and that's what I like in it too. I don't mean it in a condescending way either. I mean it in a way of we want what's best for them, so we nurture those relationships, but
yeah,
we always give them boundaries and expectations. That's how they grow and they within the organization the way we need them to. And if they
yeah,
can't meet those boundaries and expectations, it's a clear sign for all of us that they're just not the right person to be in our organization.
yeah. That's a tough one. I know we're
Yeah.
getting short on time, Lisa, but I'm just curious because we have talked about like right fit and culture, and I know a lot of that stuff kind of gears towards vision and mission and values for the company. Do you get into that type of work with your organizations if they don't have a clear mission, if they don't have a clear vision or company values?
I will a little bit if they need a help with it, but if it's a big project they're going to take on, that's more of a Wendy Waldron business
I was gonna say,
consulting
yeah,
side.
that's more of an
Yeah.
EOS thing.
Yeah. Definitely would help them like come up with what are the words that you think you want your vision and mission to surround when it comes to the employee side. And so when I set up my own, they really were more pulled from my martial arts career than they were from my work career. And the biggest one for me is integrity and just
Yeah,
always doing the right thing no matter what's happening. And I teach my students and I tell people in the world, integrity is doing the right thing even when nobody's looking. You make a
right.
mistake, you own up to it. You see something that needs to be done, you pitch it and lend a hand. And we never have egos and we're never too big to do anything. I mean, the last organization I was with for 12 years was a nonprofit. I was the HR director, but most big events, I was behind the scenes taking out garbage and serving water because that's where they needed somebody the most. And it was never beneath me. We had kitchen help quit and I went out and mopped floors. Like, when you get to a point where that's all beneath you, you've missed the whole point of serving people in this world.
Yeah, whatever it takes, right?
So,
Chief
whatever it
cook,
takes.
chief cook and bottle washer.
That's right. That's how we all start.
So Lisa, if people want to learn more about HR Ninja, they want to connect with you, where do they find you on the old internet?
Yeah, best place is LinkedIn. I'm on there the most. Lisa Boucher or Lisa Boucher Consulting. Either way, you'll find me. It's very easy to find Lisa Boucher, and it's got the little ninja suit in between my name. So you'll see it on there. Or my website, lisaboucher.com. Very simple.
Okay, that's perfect. LinkedIn, website.
It's
Lisa,
the easiest.
that's the easiest way. Thanks for coming on the show. It's great to catch up with you and hear about what you're doing.
Thank you. It was good to see you and catch up after so long.
Yeah, I know. And like we talked about before we started recording, next time we'll have you out to the farm and
Yes, please.
we'll we'll give you some eggs.
I
We
love
love
fresh eggs.
eggs.
There's nothing like a good fresh egg. Oh my goodness. I don't want
That's
to touch the chickens though. There's a whole chicken story I'll share with you someday.
You get someday that when you come out to the farm, we'll make sure you share the chicken story.
I will share the chicken story.
Oh, awesome. Well, thanks again, Lisa. I appreciate it. And of course, thanks everyone for listening. You can find us on Rumble, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and of course, every one of our episodes on buyinglocal.us. Please like and subscribe if you're on YouTube or Apple or Spotify. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and leave us a 5-star review, of course. And you'll hear from us next week, everybody. Thanks for listening.